It's easy to get stuck reaching for the same familiar fruits and vegetables, even when you know a colorful variety is key. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements don't replace fruits and vegetables, but it makes it easy to add more variety to what you already eat. With 31 ingredients that are whole fruits and vegetables, switching it up is easy because we've already taken care of the hard part. Go to balanceofnature.com and get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first set as a new preferred customer by using discount code POD.
This is the Anthony Cumia Show.
Whipping out the First Amendment and holstering the Second.
And again, we're asking, when do you cross the line?
It is another Sunday. Look at that. Another week right by. And that means, of course, the Anthony Cumia Show. You tuned in. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So much to get to this evening. My God. Speaking to New York for a moment, of course, talking about the election last week. I said, yeah, this is the way it's going to go. Everyone did, though. No big surprise there. I hope you enjoy your choice, and it goes well for you. The financial things, I was just talking about the financial aspects of a Danny mayorship there in New York. And I said it's just not going to happen. Everything he wants to do, the mayor cannot do. It's like a substitute school teacher saying, I am going to change the entire curriculum of the school district. Now, you got to talk to a few people. I think you're going to get a pat on the head, and some people going, that's adorable. Let's wait until maybe you can use your big boy voice. Kathy Hochul, the governor, I was talking about how she has already said she will not raise taxes. She's just not going to raise taxes to finance some of these Mamdani projects. Why would she want to put her neck on the line and lose money for the state? But she endorsed Mamdani, of course, but on his free bus policies, she just said this: I cannot set forth a plan right now that takes money out of a system that relies on the fares of the buses and subways. Now, where was that before the election? Where was that Hochul? She was on stage with Mamdani, cheering him on. Yeah, this is great. Oh, he's going to do wonders for New York. And then he gets elected and goes, yeah, you know that free bus nonsense ain't happening. She's not going to get rid of the money pouring in. That's what a lot of people don't understand. The money that pays for the buses and the subways and so many other things that Mamdani thinks he's going to make for free. He's going to change everything, make it free. I don't think a lot of people understand that money goes into politicians' pockets, and it's used to pay cronies and for favors and all this other stuff. What is this guy, an idiot? Haven't you seen that they use federal and state funding for their own devices? You're not going to take that away. Do you know how many pockets are lined with MTA fare money? We're going to make it free. Are you? Are you? Because we don't see it that way. So Hochul, days after, not even a week after the election, she's not into the whole free bus thing. She's also said, and this she did say before the election, but you know, not as vehemently as she is now. The tax thing, the taxes are not going to be raised, and Mamdani has absolutely zero say in the matter. He could want to raise taxes. He could want to lower taxes. He never would, but you can't do that as the mayor. You have to go through all kinds of hoops, and other politicians that have been in office way longer than you and are firmly entrenched in the system and know better. But, I think this is going to be a great example of this novelty. A bunch of people, and boy, if the young lefties have not been disappointed time after time, if Lucy doesn't pull the ball out from Charlie Brown when he tries to kick that ball every single time, young liberals, they fall for it. Remember the Joe Biden, we're going to take care of your student debt is what we're going to do. What happened there? The free health care and Obamacare and everything, Obama phones. We're all going to get free phones. Remember all that? And then they just go, drats, foiled again. They just don't get it. They really don't seem to get that these politicians are using you. They use you. You are an ends to a means, or a means to an end. Yeah, means to an end. I was a little dyslexic on that one. You're a means to an end. You're a pawn, a puppet, a cog in the machine. Whatever they need, that's what you are. And the whole game is hinged on them keeping their job, which means being voted back into office. That's what they care about. When the Democrats come out and profess how much they care about the citizens of America or the state or the city or the local township, we care. And I always bring up Liz Warren because she'll whine about how much she cares. My job is to help the people. Because I care about them. We care. Donald Trump is starving young children. Oh, she cares. They don't care. They care when late October, early November rolls around, and it's time for someone to pull the handle for them. Then watch them care. Watch how much they care. That's it. They're so bamboozled. So this Mamdani thing in New York, all these, young liberals, they love the idea of socialism because, first of all, they haven't earned a dime of their own money yet. I've seen some of the funniest videos on the internet. It's when a young person gets their first real job, and it's a paycheck, and the parent, the father or the mother, is picking them up from their workplace. They're very proud. They have their first check in their hand, and they open the envelope and they look at the check, and you see that smile turn into sad confusion. And the father or mother starts laughing, and they go, What? What's the matter? But I make this much an hour, and I did the math, and I'm supposed to make this much. Oh, yeah, there's taxes. And then a bunch of other stuff that comes out, FICA and unemployment insurance and this and that and state. And they just are boggled. It is a life-changing moment for the young liberal. All of a sudden, they care about where other people's money goes because they are now the other people. And it's their money. And they go, well, why don't I have a say in where this goes? Well, you do. You vote, don't you? You voted for Zoran Mamdani. Now you got that paycheck and your New York State taxes. They're going to go to some great programs to help people that just choose not to work. And then that look that parent, it's that look that later on in life they give when the kid brings their kids to a family dinner and the little kid's being rambunctious and the parent just starts smiling. I told you this was what it was like. That's kind of it's great how it steps up like that. And they start realizing like, oh, I'm paying for this now. It's not someone else. Yeah, that's a bitch, ain't it? So that's an awakening of some of these liberals. But when they're still young liberals that are full of this twisted ideology, there's no concept of reality. Everything is given to them. They're excused for so many of their ridiculous actions. They're with their pals. They painted some protest signs. They think they're trans. Whatever it is, some of them grow out of it. It takes longer for some than others. Some of them just never grow out of it. You see these old liberals, grandmas with the nose ring and the blue hair, and you're like, what the hell are you doing? But, some of them grow out of it. And a reformed lib is a good thing to see because they learned through experience. No one sat them down. A conservative didn't sit them down and tell them what the deal was because they never would have believed it. They never would have accepted it. They needed to tear open that first paycheck, take a look at what you made, the gross pay and your net pay, and go, I don't understand this. Does not compute. And then it computes. And, like many people are going to find out with Zoran Mamdani, these youngsters, this 85% young women that voted for Zoran, they want safer cities. They bitch and complain how they can't walk the streets without being sexually harassed. They're afraid to go in the subway system. And then they vote a guy who, by every measure, is going to make the city a lot more dangerous for women. There's a horror story coming up on the show. I debated even talking about it because I do like keeping things a little fun here throughout the depressing realities of life. But, this goes hand in hand with the politics in New York and all over the country, especially in these big cities. A horrible sexual assault. And these women vote for Mamdani. They don't know what they're voting for. And they want to be safer, and they vote for someone that is absolutely going to make the city unsafe, especially for them. All right, we are just getting started. Where are you going? Nowhere. That's where. 800-848-9222 to get involved with the program, whatever your opinions and takes on some of the stuff we're talking about. 800-848-9222. And we'll be back in moments with a lot more of the show.
This is the Anthony Cumia Show. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Thanks for tuning in. Always greatly appreciated. Week after week, it's work for me. It's work. I toil when it comes to trying to find the clown of the week.
The Anthony Cumia Show presents the Clown of the Week.
Not so much that it's hard to find one. There are just so many clowns to choose from. It's a Ringling Brothers little circus car, clown car of people to choose from for Clown of the Week. This week, boy, it was close. But again, celebrity, important, very important person because they're a celebrity. We really should listen to everything they say and adhere to it like gospel. Mark Ruffalo. He's got something to say about everything. Every single aspect of your life, Mark Ruffalo knows what's best. And this guy's worth a pretty penny or two. Once you're a character in a couple of Marvel movies, I don't think you have to worry about things like the subway, food prices, taxes, things like that. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't listen with both ears wide open to the likes of Mark Ruffalo. In this statement, Mark wants to just tear down your Second Amendment rights. That's right. He's already told you that your First Amendment rights are crap and that you should not be able to say certain things about people or things or other nations or what have you. Now, of course, he's commenting on the Second Amendment, your right to bear arms, which pretty much guarantees the First and all the rest of them. And you'll hear when he's in this discussion with someone, I don't know what podcast this is. If you've listened to the show for any length of time, you understand how disgusted I am with the concept of podcasts, especially celebrity podcasts. It's just at the point where everyone has one. Everyone has a podcast. And most of them, they don't do it well. Celebrities are really bad because they think they are so entitled. And every word that comes out of their maw that usually has other people's words coming out of it, everything they've done of merit, of note, it's because other people's words were coming out of their mouths. And they've felt that sting. They're not really getting the accolades for what they say. It's the writers, directors that do it. So they've felt relatively of late that they need to speak up and let you know how horribly you're leading your life. So Mark Ruffalo talking about this Second Amendment, and he's got someone else there. I guess it's their podcast. And a question comes up, or a statement that I've addressed numerous times on other platforms. And it's the, well, we'll let them talk and then we'll address it. Here's Mark Ruffalo and some other podcaster talking about the need of weapons of war.
But look what we're doing here in the United States. We're letting the kids get mowed down because of some crazy idea that we need weapons of war. To what? What are you going to do? You're going to fight the American government?
That's insane.
What are you going to do? Like how? What are you going to do with your weapons of war? You're going to kill other Americans is what you're going to do.
Well, yeah. Other criminal Americans, perhaps. Other Americans that want to kill you. It would actually be great for America if people were using their weapons to kill other criminal Americans. That would mean we have a lot of Americans in our country. Unfortunately, you know, illegals and criminals that have already been in and out of prison numerous times, that are let out on probation, they're paroled, they get out with no bail. You know, I don't think we're just shooting Americans. And here's the topic I kind of want to hit on. We might have to go into the next segment with this one. An armed American populace is a deterrent against the American government from trying to wield too much power. People go, oh, you got your AR-15. What's that going to do against a fighter jet? Or, you know, we got atomic bombs. They don't understand that even though the weaponry of the government is much better, bigger, it can kill a lot more people at once than the lowly American can with a rifle, you must understand it's still a détente. It's still a balance of power here. Because once the American government starts mowing down Americans on American soil with fighter planes and atomic bombs, I think the whole game's over. I think the government, the people that were in charge, and the people, the American people, would know, whoa, I guess that's it for America. There's a power in an armed populace because there would have to be bloodshed. And once that happens on a great scale, look what happened during the Civil War. It was almost game over for the country. It doesn't matter the strength of weaponry one side has or the other. Of course, the side with more powerful weapons will inevitably win. There have been differences. Look at Vietnam, for instance. A bunch of guerrillas took on the whole Western world. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who would emerge victorious by killing more of the other. It matters that it happened at all. And a government that, we've seen the reaction to places like Waco and Ruby Ridge. But if you start wholesale killing American people with the American military, it's game over. No more country. That's why even an armed populace with rifles is a balance of power. It's a détente between the government and the people that prevents the government from becoming a murderous, rampaging mob. And it's worked. It's worked throughout the years during some amazing turmoil in this country. So, of course, Mark Ruffalo, that dumb idea of, it's, the atomic bombs. You're going to shoot at an A-10 with your little AR-15? No, you don't have to. And by the way, screw off. I'll have whatever weaponry I choose to have. All right? You got me, Mark Ruffalo, Clown of the Week? Okay, coming back in moments with a lot more. Stick around.
Whipping out free speech.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And, boy, I'm looking at the phones. The caller ID here is some bar in Corning, New York. Who is this?
Hi, my dear. It's Susan. Your
I should have known that. I saw it was some gin mill up in Corning, so I should have assumed it was Susan.
No,
thank
never
you.
gin. Who would drink gin? Ugh. But anyway, I wanted to say, this is just so nonsensical that these young women in New York City would be so enamored to vote this way, because this is what's been happening. Is there a blackout there that it's young women and all kinds of women that are getting sucker punched all over, thrown into subway tracks like the beautiful Michelle Go? She was the first one, 40 years old, a superstar on Wall Street, thrown into a subway track in 1922. She was the first one. Are they just oblivious, or do they just have mommy and daddy paying their rent and they only stumble out into their streets? They don't go to work?
Susan, I know you're a woman, but I've been very critical of women on my various social media accounts over the course of the week, because 85% of young women voted for Zoran Mamdani. And I do not get it. I can't understand unless there's only one direction to go here. And it's that women will vote with emotion and not common sense. What's best for the city? What's best for you? Oh, I don't care. He made good TikTok videos. He wants to help everybody. He's going to save New York. They have no idea how he's going to do this. They don't know anything. I didn't want the old white guy or the guy with the beret and the cats. They don't understand what they're voting for, when, in fact, they're voting to put their own lives in danger. What of you, Susan? What about these broads voting like this?
It makes no sense, other than that they're just totally devoid of any reality because they're looking at TikTok. They're not getting real information. I do blame the press, but they don't even listen to that kind of press. They are living in an alternate reality, but this is so dangerous. They are going to be the first ones to feel the pain, but the whole city. It's the downward spiral of all this is.
You feel
I lived there for 40 years. It means a lot to me. I still have a lot of friends there.
You were 40 years.
There.
You were 40 years old.
Oh, barely. But I lived in New York City from 1800s.
Susan, thank you so much. I got to move on. Tell the bartender to get you a slow gin fizz and put it on my tab. There she goes. The always lovely and intoxicated Susan. Here's Scott. Scott from Venice, Florida. What's up, Scott?
Hey, Ant. Always a pleasure to talk to one of the best talking junior high school graduates in the country.
Thank you. You listen to Gavin, do you?
Of course. No, I think a lot of this, you're talking about how the young liberals voted for Mondani and these communist candidates.
Yep.
They've never lived under the specter of communism like we did growing up.
Good point,
every
too.
Every day or every week on the news, you saw stories about how horrible it was in the Soviet Union.
Right.
They know nothing of that.
You know, until you've gone under an elementary school desk because it was the perfect defense against an atomic weapon,
exactly.
You don't quite understand.
Right, exactly. And all they've been taught is, how good it is. Well, we all know communism works good in a group of 50 or 100 people. Not when you start talking about hundreds of millions of people. It don't work worth a damn.
And Mamdani is the perfect example of one of these leaders of socialism / communism. Comes from a wealthy family. He's all about money and power. And, the minion, his minion will be taken care of. But then the lowly people that are under his rule, they suffer immensely. And that's what's going to happen.
Exactly. And I think as far as the young women go, now I'm no expert on women. Trust me, I'm lucky I got a wife.
Who is, Scott? Am I right? Which one of us guys are? Can't live with them, can't live without.
Exactly. But, I mean, I think these young women, they're looking for a daddy figure. I'm sorry, but they all say they want these beta males. But when they come across an alpha male or a guy who's just a guy, they reject him in public, but secretly that's what they want. He's promising to take care of them, do everything for them. It just, to me, that's why they do it.
Scott, I saw a post today on X, and it was a video of a woman complaining that she can't find a guy. She belongs to all these dating services that are available online and apps and whatnot. And she goes, my criteria was I want a man who takes care of himself. He's 6'2". She's looking for a 6'2" guy. That's kind of going to cut down on the amount of people responding to your profile. But the other thing is, a lot of these women, they do not even know how to have a face-to-face conversation with someone.
Right.
There could be a guy that's 5'11", 6 foot, doesn't fall in to her height criteria, but sitting there, wherever it is, a bar or a show, church, and being face-to-face, talking about something, sharing a common interest or something you don't have as a common interest, and you have a little lively debate, but you're interacting with human effing beings. This is a thing of the past. And this woman thinking she's going to be able to text out on an app her picture, a profile of what she does and what she wants in return is an insane thought process. What happened to meeting someone? The hard, cold truth of cold calling on someone sitting at a bar. It was a nightmare walking up, trying to get enough beers in you to get the courage to walk over to a girl and go, hey, can I buy you a drink or something? You get shot down. Your friends start laughing at you. It was hell. It was hell,
yeah,
but
you
you
start doing
learn.
shots and you get sloppier and sloppier, and it just gets worse as the night goes on.
Yes.
And
you learned, and you did. You figured out how to have conversations with real live people. And now they think they could just post something, and this knight in shining armor is going to ride up, fulfilling all of her ridiculous criteria, sweep her off her feet, and now she's, Mrs. Mr. Perfect.
Well, they want style over substance, and that'll never work. And real quick, I know I've been long, but I'll go real fast.
All good.
You were talking about that stupid Ruffalo, his comment about, what are you going to take on the government?
Yeah.
Those same idiots existed in 1775.
Yes.
And what happened to them? They look like the fools. Right, exactly.
I'll tell you what, Scott, if Britain was anything like it is now, it's obvious how a bunch of farmers and coopers and cobblers kicked their asses, because I've been seeing some videos of their police force over there. They're arresting people for social media posts, for taking pictures in a town square. They're questioning people. I don't know what's going on in Great Britain. It's not even pretty good Britain anymore, Scott.
No,
thanks.
And they fail to realize that most people in the military are pretty conservative. Plus, they forget about all the veterans that are out there.
Right.
It's a stupid argument.
It's détente, my friend. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate the call, man. Yes, sirree. So, with the election, it wasn't the only one. It wasn't just Mamdani here in New York City. Mayor Frey over there in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Jacob Frey, he beat out Omar Fattah, which surprised me. This guy was the spitting image of the pirate from Captain, what the hell was his name? I'm the Captain Now guy. Looked just like him. Captain Phillips. Omar Fattah. I thought he was a shoe-in. I thought he was a sandal in for office as mayor of Minneapolis. But the incumbent mayor, Jacob Frey, he won. And instantly, he's now facing backlash. He spoke Somali during his victory acceptance speech. He is so embarrassing, this guy. And I think he must have felt the heat and the pressure, because it was a close race. And I think he feels he has to get a little closer with the Somalis in Minneapolis, because they make up a huge portion of Minneapolis right now, especially politically. So he got up and he started speaking Somali. I don't even know what this is. I remember when I was a kid and you'd make up a language and just start babbling something. That's kind of what it sounds like. I don't know if he's speaking Somali. The applause from the crowd seemed to be indicative of him speaking Somali. But just him doing it is so embarrassing and humiliating. So here's a little clip of it. Let's listen to Mayor Jacob Frey speaking Somali.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hamid wanaagsan. Magacayga waa Yaroub Farid. Dhulka magaalada Minneapolis. Ko laba sata afarshan.
Mekaleka hi, mekahani ho. All right, that's all we need there. Blah, 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 blah. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey facing backlash after giving victory speech in Somali. He welcomed a bunch of Somalis at his victory shindig. And popular conservative influencer ripped into the progressive mayor, writing, "The pandering here is insane." Mayor Jacob Frey, as he won re-election, spoke almost a minute in Somalia, then said Minneapolis belongs to Somalia. In a second round of nonpartisan ranked choice voting, Frey narrowly defeated a challenge from socialist Minneapolis State Senator Omar Fattah. Fattah is the first Somali American and first Muslim to serve in state senate. How many firsts do we need? Aren't we done with the firsts at this point? So he said, to the great people of Minneapolis, I say that very intentionally, because no matter where you're from, Minneapolis should be a place where you are proud to call your home. He said. He then proceeded to list a number of Somali regions, saying whether you are from Basaso, Mogadishu, whether you're from Hargeisa or Garo, whether you're from Beledweyne or Southwest Minneapolis. Yeah! You can come here for seeking prosperity, where you can raise your family. And I said, here's what the election means. The election means this moment for unity, where entire Somali community can come together and say, this is our people. This is our city. We are united behind each other. Oh, boy. Another comment said, any politician raised in America, educated in America, ostensibly representing Americans, prostrating himself in front of a bunch of foreigners could be the most humiliating thing I've ever seen. Podcaster Matt Walsh, he chimed in, writing, as I've seen many times now, politicians in this country should be required by law to speak English when addressing the public in an official capacity. There should never be a time in America where an American can't understand what their elected leaders are saying. And another influencer wrote, I don't know how large ICE's presence is in Minneapolis, but it needs to be much larger. Yeah, that was kind of the smart-ass answer right there. That was the smart-ass comment. This guy, Mayor Frey, boy, talk about stuck between a rock and a hard place. You had, a Somali socialist and Jacob Frey. Jacob Frey, you might remember, was the guy at George Floyd's funeral who knelt beside the golden casket that was going to haul St. George of Floyd off into the cosmos like Spock in Wrath of Khan. I knew George Floyd. His soul was the most drug addicted. And he knelt down. He was weeping. Not even a subtle cry. Look, if you adore the person that is being eulogized, being waked, whatever other religions do their thing, I can understand getting choked up as a dude. Your dad, my God, a favorite uncle, a best friend. Sure, tear up a little. Doesn't take anything away. But if you're bawling like a woman, crying hysterical, which he was, while kneeling in front of St. George of Floyd's casket, you are a disaster. You are a mess. He was doing that shaky cry, when someone's crying and you see from behind and you're not sure. It's like, what are they doing? Is that a convulsion, a laugh? Oh, no, they're crying. He was doing that to George Floyd's golden casket. The brothers weren't even doing that. They didn't even care as much. But again, it's pandering. It's pandering. He was putting on an act like he puts on an act when he goes to one of the Somali malls. I saw that clip a while back. He talks about Mall of America up there in Minneapolis. He goes, well, Mall of America is great and all, but until you've been to a Somali mall, you just haven't seen it. And this looked like the Moog. It looked like you should be hearing Black Hawk helicopter rotors above your head. And he's walking through there making like he's buddies with all of them. Hey, how you doing? Giving some Somali greetings. And then you walk around and it looks like one of these flea markets, a bazaar, some third world street festival. They're selling, a chicken and a dog. I don't know. But it is, this guy is the king of pandering. And, Minneapolis, I guess it's the only way he could have won against Omar. Is it Omar? No, it is Omar. Omar Fatah. That was his name. I had thrown it in the garbage where he absolutely belongs. But, he beat that guy because I guess he knows how to pander. And he's probably responsible for really doing a lot for Somalis. Somalia itself is in turmoil, constant turmoil. There are factions of Somalis that war with each other. This is a big thing on the Dark Continent. A lot of countries that you look at people and go, well, what's the difference between you guys? It would be like watching the American Civil War. Wait a minute, you guys are, brethren. And but they have such disdain for each other, and I think it translates to American Somalis politics. They don't like this guy. He's Somali, but he's not the right kind of Somali. And they know a dopey white guy like Mayor Jacob Frey, he can be manipulated. You hint at him that if he doesn't do something, he's going to be called a racist. He will do whatever you want as quickly as is humanly possible. So I think that's what really put him over the top. He's a pushover for the Somalis. Anyway, good luck. Minneapolis, New York, Dearborn, Michigan, and plenty more cities to come. You're sunk. Oh, boy. Okay, back in moments. Don't go anywhere. More of the Anthony Cumia Show to come.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Welcome to the Anthony Cumia Show. And this was funny over the weekend. They rolled out Joe Biden, old Joe Biden. Little bit of dementia, apparently stage 4 cancer. He's been through treatments. He's been through everything. But given the opportunity to trash Donald Trump, the Republicans, and try to pump up his legacy, they dragged him out. I don't know who does this. It can't be him. He can't sit there going, I want to go out and talk to people about it. It's his wife or Obama or some other candidate. It's like, can we get this guy? And the thought that he would be a plus to anything you're pushing it just shows how ridiculous the Democrats are. No one's watching this guy and thinking, wow, he's awesome. No one but the nuts that always thought he was awesome. They will never say anything bad about him. But you're not going to change anyone's mind with the likes of Joe Biden. You're not putting him out in front of an audience behind a podium, and he's not going to say anything that you go, wow, that was really well said. And I think I better address some of my opinions. He's gone. He's a mess. And now he just goes out and lies even more blatantly than he did when he was the figurehead president. So here's a couple of clips. The first one, he's yelling, and he does he goes from that low speak, and he's always done this, but it seems even more pronounced now. It must be part of the dementia. He speaks, and then he starts yelling, and then he tells the people he's not joking. It really is every hacky impersonation of Joe Biden come to life. Like, really, it's really him. But he does go, no joke. No, I'm serious. Like, what? No one was questioning that it was a joke or that you're not serious. We're just saying it's an absolute lie. That's what we're saying. So here he is talking about Trump making money during the presidency, during his presidency, Trump's presidency. Let's listen, shall we?
Has anyone noticed how much the Trump family has made while he's been president, put in their pocket? Reported $1.8 billion. Can you imagine that? If any other president in American history did that, can you imagine what would happen?
Yelling. I was getting anxiety listening to that, like it was my dad just come home from work, and he started yelling. I got a stomach ache, is what I used to say as a kid. But there he is, yelling about Trump's family, mind you, making money. The Trump family is a dynasty. They've made money for years. They've gone through very good times, very bad times, and they are where they are right now because they have businesses. Trump, during his presidency, has handed those businesses off to his sons and his daughter, and they run a very profitable business, the Trump empire. See how that works? He had some of these businesses before he was president, and then his kids continued with that and made money for the family business. Does it say that the president's family can't make money during the time he's president with legitimate business dealings? Not your son, your drug addict son selling his spitball straw and paint paintings for $500,000. Oh, yeah. That wasn't to get access to the then vice president and then the president. You're talking 12 years that Joe Biden was either vice president or president, and access to him was being sold, allegedly. But it's so obvious. That isn't a problem. If any other president did that, you did it. What are you talking about? Trump his family took over the business while Trump is in office. Trump doesn't take pay. He's putting money out of his own pocket and getting donors together to pay for the ballroom. And they just can't stop with the, hey, he's taking money, made a fortune. Here's the other idiotic thing he says. Do we got time for this? Might have to come back. Let me see. All right. Play the other clip of how his wages were up and inflation was down.
But folks, we rule. We got the respect of the world, not just because of the example of our power, but the power of our example. That's why the world follows us. Not a joke. When I was president, wages were up and inflation was down.
It's a lie. That's a lie. Wages weren't up and inflation wasn't down. Oh, my God. All right, we'll talk more about this when we return.
Whipping out free speech.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Thanks for tuning in. And, some breaking news on the government shutdown. It seems that some of the Democrats have softened, come on over to the correct side, and I guess they're setting up to vote, but they have some of these Democrats that were necessary. You know, you listen to the Democrats talking about how this was Trump's shutdown because Trump is the president. They have the House and they have the Senate. So that makes it their shutdown, Republicans. But truth be told, they needed 60 votes. They did not have 60 votes. Now it seems that, Trump stuck to his guns. The Republicans stuck to their guns. They did not want a bill that reopened the government that had a bunch of these liberal programs attached to it. health care for illegals. And health care, it's not a time to discuss health care, even for Americans, on a bill that's just supposed to reopen the government. They go, oh, Trump doesn't want to talk. Trump won't even sit down and negotiate with us. Right. After you sign the clean bill to reopen the government and people start getting paid and we go back to not being petrified to get on an airplane. How about that? Now we can sit down and have a discussion about other things without it being stapled to a clean bill that opens the government. It was pure extortion. Talk about using starving children. I love that one. Trump is starving children to get his bill passed. No, you guys, the Democrats, were the ones that wanted all this crap attached to the clean Republican bill that just reopened the government. That's it. So there seems to be eight Democrats that are willing to go along with the Republican clean bill. And we'll see what happens there. But I could play this really quickly. I've done this before on the show, played it on the mic, and it seems to come through. Bernie Sanders, not very happy.
Process has been developed. It is impossible to delay the votes that are going to take place. And if that were not the case, that is certainly what I would do, because I think it is important that the American people fully understand what is being voted on today. Everybody in America knows that our current healthcare system is broken. It is dysfunctional. It is cruel. It is by far the most expensive healthcare system in the world, and the only healthcare system of any major country that does not guarantee healthcare to all people as a human right, covering every man, woman, and child. We are unique in that respect. And yet tonight, what this Senate is about to do is make a horrific situation even worse. So let's be clear.
By reopening the government?
If this vote succeeds, over 20 million Americans are going to see at least a doubling in their premiums in the Affordable Care Act. In my state of Vermont and throughout this land.
Well, 44 million Americans will see their SNAP benefits. So doesn't it all equal out there, Bernie? You know what's so weird in this day and age? I didn't pre-listen to what Bernie just said. I just popped it up to the mic and played it. When in history did you have to worry that he was going to drop an F-bomb? Like, I didn't even think about that because, oh, it's Bernie. It's a politician. We've lost all sense of decorum in the American political system, where they're just dropping F-bombs, calling people a-holes, and saying the S word for crap. And halfway through that, I'm like, oh, geez, what if he curses? That isn't even safe anymore to play these clips without having listened to them beforehand. But, hey, Bernie, how about this? How about a bill to reopen the government that doesn't have any blackmail, extortion, or anything attached to it? So now you and all the other politicians can go back to work and try to hammer out some type of health care thing. Why did the Republicans, why was it their responsibility to have to accept a Democrat health care bill on the bill to open the government? Why? They won't even talk to us. They won't even sit down at the table to talk to us. Yeah, after the government's opened. It's a totally different issue altogether. It's a totally different issue. Yes. So now if they do go through with this and the government opens, they can do their effing jobs and hammer out a health care deal or not. But at least they'll get together and talk. It seems like people like Schumer and the rest of them, they just wanted this shoved through with opening the government. No. Oh, he won't even talk. Yeah, why? Why talk to the blackmailers? Why talk to the extortionists? So could be good. Could be good. I mean, I like how the Republicans and Trump stuck to their guns on this one. I was just going to comment, as a matter of fact, I was thinking about some of the material for the show tonight, and I was just going to comment on the dangers that seem to be building as time goes by without the government reopening. At first, everyone laughs and goes, well, 3 days went by, and I haven't noticed any difference in America, so why do we even need to have a government open? It seems like everything's working all fine by itself. As time goes on, and there is no funding for essential things, it gets a little dodgy. Air traffic controllers, for God's sake, could possibly be the most important job ever. Air traffic controllers. They are making sure these giant, miraculous steel machines don't bang into each other with hundreds of people on board them. Pretty important job. And the fact that, they weren't getting paid is concerning. And that's an issue that had to be taken care of. We started seeing right before Thanksgiving vacation that the airports were backing up. Planes were sitting on the runway for hours. People are at the airport bars with delays for hours. And I think that really starts getting these politicians off their asses to do something about it. And I think also enough people got the word that Democrats were keeping this bill from being passed and reopening the government. They could say whatever they want. Trump's shut down. He's the president. The Republicans have the Senate and Congress. And people just weren't buying it anymore. Hakeem Jeffries is out there every day trying to blame Trump. Even when he's being interviewed and people said, because he would say, hey, Trump's the president, Senate and Congress are all a Republican majority. And they'd say, well, they need 60 votes for this. So some Democrat, blah, 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 don't want to hear it. Not listening to you, la, 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 not listening. So it's good to see. I hope it actually goes through. Bernie coming out like that and saying it's worse. It'll be worse. Really? Worse than a couple of wide-body airliners bashing into each other? We need health care. It's got to be like Canada and England and Denmark. We are unique as a country. We're an amazing country. Settled the wildest of Wests. Immigrants came here and had the hardest time trying to build a life for themselves, and they did it and became American. And it just means we have certain innate differences with the rest of the world. We're a tougher breed. We don't agree. We don't all agree that everything should be given to us by the government. The government is supposed to set that table and let us lead our lives with the least invasion of our lives from the government as is possible. And the Democrats just seem to want to have every inch of our lives under their thumbs. Government health care. Sorry. No. I don't agree with that. I do agree, like we have now, that if people are really in a bad way, that they get medical attention. No one can be refused if they walk into an emergency room. I know that's different than having the money for a lot of medical care before you get sick, preventative care. But it's like everything else in this country, the very unique America. You need to build that up. You need to get to the point where you can afford better health care. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. You'll get health care. No one's going to be refused health care. But for better health care, yeah, I want the best doctor that is humanly possible to work on me if I get ill. And I know damn well that I have the insurance policy to pay for that. Why should the bar be lowered under this standard state-run insurance and medical care? And now I have to wait 3 months to get treatment? I have to get a doctor that isn't the best doctor I could possibly afford? Well, this person can't get that. Well, I'm sorry about that. I was in that boat for most of my life. And yeah, Bernie, America is very, very unique. And that's part of it. We earn what we get and what we're able to get. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. Don't like it? Move to Denmark or Sweden, wherever the hell that is. All right, back in a flash. Stick around.
This is the Anthony Cumia Show.
The Anthony Cumia Show. That's me. And a little plug for tomorrow morning, 7:35 a.m. I will be on Sid and Friends to talk about everything going on with the election and a bunch of other things. Sid and Friends in the morning. I'm trying to do a Sid impression there. But, yeah, 7:35 a.m. Unless the bastard bumps me again. 2 times I've been bumped. 2 times. But, no, we text a lot about things that are going on in the city. Oh, my God. And he's got Mamdani, like, wound up, all angry at Sid. It's pretty funny. I think he wants to fight him. Although, if I was Mamdani, I would not want to fight Sid Rosenberg. Sid goes to the gym. He's a big guy. But, yeah, 7:35 tomorrow, Sid and Friends. I am happy to say I'll be chit-chatting with Sid Rosenberg. Let's see. Maybe somebody's on the horn that wants to... Eric from Orlando. What's up?
Hey, Anthony, what's happening? Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be a new game coming back to New York, if we remember Which Way is North. And there might be an Arabic version of it, too, where they smack you with the sole of their shoes.
Oh, yes. Or a copy of the Quran. Yeah, Which Way is North? We used to talk about that on the old O&A show. You'd be walking down the street, and someone would come up to you, a fine gentleman, and say, yo, man, which way is north? And you would go, oh, I think it's... And you wake up, and your kids are grown next to your hospital bed. Your wife is crying, and you go, "What happened?" And Christmas music is playing, and you just remember it being summertime. Yeah, you were clocked right in the face. There's the knockout game. There was wilding back in the old days. I remember a thing called wilding. Eric, do you remember that?
Oh, I certainly do on those days of the show.
Yeah, and the pools, the public pools in New York City used to have wilding in the pools, and that was when guys would get together, make a whirlpool, and then sexually harass young women that were in the pool. They work together like killer whales do when they're trying to get a seal off of an ice floe. But, yeah, we'll look forward to that, Eric, with the Mamdani mayorship. This is a terrible story. And it just shows, though, it has to be said, it shows how horrible, how unbelievably horrible New York City is. And they need to lock these violent criminals up. They are not doing it. This isn't my opinion that they're not doing it. There is proof positive. The DAs and the judges are not prosecuting these people. And when they are, the corrections department is letting them out. They're paroling people. They're putting them on probation. And these are violent criminals. And they're getting out after just a couple of years for committing some of the most heinous crimes. Chaos erupts during arraignment for creep. Oh, he's just a creep. Accused of raping 12-year-old girl in a New York City stairwell. A creep, you know. The family of the 12-year-old girl allegedly raped in a stairwell of a Brooklyn housing project. Oh, boy. Nearly came to blows with the twisted homeless creep accused of carrying out the horrific attack. Eric McMichael, 27, nice Irish boy, I guess, was arraigned in Brooklyn criminal court and hit with a slew of new charges for viciously attacking the young girl and threatening to shoot her if she didn't follow him into the Williamsburg stairwell Thursday night, prosecutors revealed. But during the brute's court hearing, a brute, he's a creep and a brute. Can we call this like we sees it, people? Many of the victims' loved ones who packed the courtroom shouted and cursed at the suspect. And judge, also, they shouted at him before being escorted out. They should not have been escorted out. The family of this girl has every right to be outraged, not only at this piece of garbage that should have been taken out by the police instead of arrested. They have every right to be in there and to be mad at the judge. Yeah. The judges in New York City need to learn they cannot let these people back out onto the streets. And if you think Mamdani is going to make this better and safer, you're out of your mind. You 85% of women that voted him in, welcome. Welcome to this world. McMichael, I'm McMichael, don't you know? Where's my shillelagh? Who was previously nabbed for a violent 2019 Staten Island rape. Let's see. 19, 20, 6 years. 6 years for a violent rape in 2019. Dragged the young girl into the stairwell, shoved her to the ground, committed the heinous sexual attack. Rossman, I guess this is a district attorney, the DA, Jordan Rossman, said the distraught mother called the police and took her daughter to the hospital in stable condition. McMichael was arrested Friday afternoon after his parole officer identified him in a surveillance video captured at a nearby laundromat. His parole officer. He should not have a parole officer. He should be in prison, locked up. Why is this guy out? Who did this? And why aren't they being held accountable? The DAs, the judges, the politicians, Hochul, Cuomo, all these people that put in place this bail reform and paroling violent sexual offenders. Girl's 12. She'll never be the same. Prosecutor said the violent suspect allegedly admitted to being in the lobby of the building. He said he talked to a woman, kissed her, hugged her, grabbed her, pushed her, And that's all he's saying he did. He now faces 4 counts of first-degree rape, 2 counts of second-degree rape, second- and third-degree burglary, including a sexual-motivated felony, 2 counts of sexual misconduct. It just goes on and on. He previously arrested October 22nd, 2019, after allegedly stealing a 29-year-old woman's phone and raping her at knife point in an abandoned Staten Island building. Police said McMichael, who lives in a homeless shelter, lives in a homeless shelter on Clay Street, pleaded guilty to the rape and was ordered to undergo mental health treatment. The Staten Island Advance reported that he's being held now without bail. He's due back in court on Thursday. What the hell are you doing, New York? How did it get to this? And that being said, you then elect Mamdani and Alvin Bragg. You reelected him as the Manhattan District Attorney. What do you think? That's going to make it better? You want more 12-year-old girls to be sexually assaulted? It's astounding to me they don't see this. And then they smile and say, vote for me. It's absolutely insane, and it will not get better under Mamdani. Back in a moment.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Anthony Cumia Show.
They were doing what they were paid to do. Shot.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And let's go to Long Island and talk to Lenny. What's up, Lenny? All right. Some footsteps.
Hello, Anthony.
Lenny, how are you, sir?
Those illegals get health care. They go into our emergency rooms and they use 911 for car service. They're getting it. Why are they lying? These multiple people who get arrested and everything, they want them out on the street. They want them out here. You know, people, they brag. This just shows you the mentality of the people in New York when Bragg gets reelected. He's no good, and he lets the criminals out, and they vote for him because it's a communist city. New York is a communist city, Anthony. And I just want to say, people, they're complaining, they're surprised. They let millions of third worlders in, and the millions of third worlders vote for a third world American-hating mayor. Go Buchanan, go, baby, go!
I knew, there he goes. I knew it was Buchanan guy, but he makes a good point before he yells, "Go Buchanan, go!" Yeah. It really is. It's already this socialist kind of dystopian city, New York. New York's been through good times and bad times over the course of the years. And while there may have been a hell of a lot more murders at the time David Dinkins was in office as mayor, we are really in bad times now overall. There's less murders. But, boy, everything else. And it doesn't mean you're safer as a commuter. I think a lot of the murders going on in the 80s and 90s had to do with crack, of course, was a big thing. And the mob. The mob was a huge contributor to the murders in New York City over the 80s and 90s, 70s, 80s and 90s. But you don't feel safe in New York right now. You just don't. It's this weird feeling where even with your head on a swivel, constantly, mind you, you just don't feel safe. If you're walking down the sidewalk looking at your phone in New York City, stop doing that. It's like looking at your phone while you're driving. You're just putting yourself in danger. You're not paying attention. Something could happen that you're missing, and you end up in trouble. That's what it's like walking down the sidewalks in New York City with your phone. The least that'll happen is they'll just snatch the phone out of your hand and run. Maybe they'll see you with a phone, want to snatch that out of your hand, and maybe want to grab your wallet and kick your head a few times. That's not out of the question. That's on the menu. Seen that. We talk a lot tonight. We've talked a lot tonight about how young women in this country and in New York City, we've seen lately with the Mamdani election, that young women, they don't know a lot about what they're voting for and what they're getting and what's behind a candidate and an election and how important it is and how you got to take your dumb emotions out of it and vote on substance, reality, not he's cute, not I like his TikTok videos, not ooh, free stuff. How about doing a little research and realizing, hey, the money, Hochul, isn't going to flow to Mamdani for the free stuff that I voted for. Now, if you know that, are you still voting for the guy because you were all revved up about free stuff? If you knew that the money won't come in for the free stuff and they won't have free buses because Hochul says we need that money, would you not vote for him? Or would you still go, he's cute, he's got TikTok video? That's where 85% of his female voters came from. Insane. So here's some young women on the streets, and they were asked, how would you change the Constitution? Listen to this.
So if you guys could change the Constitution in one way, how would you change it?
Perverse gov major.
I was literally going to say legalize abortion. Maybe abortion laws, rights to abortion, like transgender rights to have surgery, without necessarily parental consent. Yes, you have freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean you have right to sit there and scream at someone because they choose to change their gender or they love the same sex, things like that.
So should we add trans rights to the Constitution?
Absolutely. Definitely adding in policies that make healthcare more accessible for immigrants as well as people in low-income communities. I just think we need to get the old white out of power, but that's not really a Constitution issue.
None of what you said is a Constitution issue. We need to get the old white man. Right. The eternal villain of the world, the old white men. That is just a great example of the 18 to 29-year-old demo, 85% of which voted for, or 85% of their demo voted for Mamdani. They don't even know what the Constitution is. They don't know, abortion wasn't in the Constitution. And when the Supreme Court decided that it was a states' rights issue, they actually thought it was torn out of the Constitution. Oh, abortions. Oh, I get it. Just rip that out of the Constitution. It was never a constitutional right. And, you can't just say things about people's sexuality that, yes, you can. That is in the Constitution. You can yell about people's sexuality, their anything you're upset about, you're allowed to yell about it. It's the First Amendment. Should there be transgender rights in the Constitution? There are. That's the whole thing. The Constitution. It's everyone's rights, regardless. Race, creed, color, sexual preference, whatever it is. It's already there, you dopes. They'll never understand it. And, the Founding Fathers are getting a bad rap, too. They knew the deal. They knew. The Constitution is just a living, breathing document. They knew that times would change. Yeah, they knew times would change. They didn't think the whole country would go bat crap. FCC. Yeah. They knew. that times would change. Hence the Second Amendment saying shall not be infringed. You know, it didn't say AR-15. They always say that one. It doesn't say the right to bear weapons of war. It absolutely did. There were no weapons back when the Constitution and the Declaration, the Bill of Rights were written, that said you couldn't own weapons. They were weapons of war at the time. And they just, they don't know this. They don't want to face it. And they're too stupid to educate themselves about it. So many rights. And transgender rights. That's it. The founding fathers sitting around. Ironically, we talked to John Hancock about the transgender rights. What say you, Hancock? Well, they just don't get it. They don't even know what the Constitution is, and that it does already cover so many, every person in this country. They want their own special little constitution for their special little group, don't they? That's what they want. Ugh. Here's another woman. We're doing a lot on women tonight, aren't we? Another woman talking with, the amazing Joe Scarborough on MSNBC, just mere weeks away from being MSNOW and having absolutely no viewers. They're changing it. It's no longer going to be affiliated in any way with NBC News. So good luck there, MSNOW. So this woman's talking to Joe Scarborough, and it seems she doesn't believe that the police and a police presence makes a city safer. She believes that maybe the opposite is true. She can't fathom that when a police presence is in the city, like we've seen in New York, when there are cops standing on those street corners, patrolling the streets, there is less crime. Them's the facts. But she doesn't agree with this for her own reasons. Let's listen.
You don't think more police make streets safer?
No, Joe. I'm a black woman in America. I do not always think that more police make streets safer. When you walk down the streets of Georgetown, you don't see a police officer on every corner, but you don't feel unsafe. So what is it about talking about places like Southeast D.C., right? Ward 8, if you will, that people say, well, we need more officers to make us safe. I think we have to rethink what safety means in America.
Stop with the rethinking. That's another thing. Some people love to take an issue that is so blatantly obvious what the issue is and then go, oh, we need to rethink that. Why? Because Georgetown is safe and you don't need cops on every corner in Georgetown, but in Ward 8, you do. Well, let's figure out why that is. There's more crime going on in Ward 8. So that's where the cops go. There's a lot of cops where the crime happens. You don't need it in Georgetown because it's a nice place. How about that? Imagine a realtor suggesting Ward 8 to you. It sounds sci-fi. It sounds dystopian. It just, there's a lovely house in Ward 8. I never want to live in a ward. That's one thing. Don't put me in a ward. I don't care what number it is. Ward 1, I'm not staying there. Another thing is a number block of, like, oh, this happened on the 400 block of the MLK Boulevard. I don't want to live on give me a street name. Sunflower Street. Main Street. I don't want it to be relegated to a number on a block like a prison. Yeah. And places like Ward 8, I could see why there's a lot of cops there. How about just start naming these places a little nicer so we don't have this impression that it's really, really bad. But yeah, she doesn't want to face why police presence drives crime down, because they're there to arrest people. Most people don't want to be arrested. I don't know. I don't really have a statistic for this, but I've watched enough videos. Most people don't want to get arrested. And if they're committing crimes, they'll try not to do it in front of police officers. There you go. So a bigger police presence on those streets will drive crime down. Just seems to figure. And then to bring up that she's a black woman and she doesn't agree that police on the streets will drive crime down. Again, this perception that somehow the police are what are endangering the black communities around America. And every week, I mean, you see this Chicago stats this week, 25 shot, 4 killed, and just a number of other incidents of violence in Chicago. Where do you think that's happening? In the nice areas of Chicago where you don't really see a lot of cops? And there'd be more crime if the cops weren't in these areas. It shows that you need more police officers in some of these high crime areas. But you got what's his name there? Mayor Johnson. Mayor Johnson. Where is he? Here he is. Mayor Johnson talking about it's Trump's fault. It's where's that story? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay, Mayor Johnson, Chicago. He's blaming Trump for failing Chicago businesses. Now, maybe it's that they don't want to open a business in these crime-riddled areas. But let's listen. Maybe Mayor Johnson has a case here.
I want to appeal to the people of Chicago. Where you can support local businesses, particularly in our black and brown communities, please do that. Many of these local grocery stores and these businesses have seen a 60% reduction in their sales and their revenue. Donald Trump has done more to harm our economy than any other president in modern history. He is an abysmal failure.
How do you put that together? How do you put that your businesses, and especially he's talking about black-owned businesses in black communities, run by black people, jobs given to black people from the community, those are failing. And there's not as many opening up. And why? Ask yourself why. Donald Trump? Or the fact that you've let crime get to such a level that they won't open a new store there, that they're getting robbed when they try to open, that the employees they hire are stealing from them, that when they leave their business at night, they're getting beat up and robbed in these communities, that the only people with the wherewithal to put up with that seem to be Asians. I don't know what it is. I guess if you've spent your life in Vietnam over the course of the years, it's a breeze. You're used to it. Or some of these real garbage Southeast Asian nations. You come over here and go, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But, how about face that cold, hard truth? How about doing something about that? Well, I can't do that. My supporters. I'll seem like an Uncle Tom, or I'll seem like I'm not for the black communities. Saying that businesses are abandoning the black communities and blaming it on Trump makes you look like the idiot you are, Mayor Johnson. Truth is, you got to get tougher on crime. Allow your cops with their ridiculous cab driver hats. First, change the hats on Chicago Police Department. They look ridiculous. You look like the Johnny Cab from Total Recall. Just give them real police hats. That's my take. That's what I'm running on. That's my platform. But let them do their jobs. And then start, indicting and convicting and imprisoning the people. You have a gang problem in Chicago that is second to none. Not even L.A. has a gang problem as bad as Chicago. And you just will never address it. Blame Trump. Keep blaming Trump as the bodies stack up every single weekend. By the way, the 25 shot and 4 killed, that was before today. That was just Friday and Saturday. But, it's Trump. Oh, if only they would do something substantial instead of the blame game. All right, back in moments. Don't go anywhere. More of the Anthony Cumia Show in moments.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Whipping out free speech.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Let's see. We got it looks like the government will be reopening. They got 8 Democrats to go along with the Republican clean bill, which is just to open the government. And I'm seeing Chuck Schumer here. I don't know. It says, Schumer is crying again after Dems were forced to fold again. I would love to play the clip, but I haven't previewed it. And these days, Schumer drops the F-bomb. So I don't know. How the hell are we living in a world where you can't cold play a politician speaking about something going on in the government out of fear that he might drop an F-bomb? I'm going to play it, but stay on the dump button, guys, at home base. You never know. Let's see what Schumer's saying about this.
Democrats have been fighting to get the Senate to address the health care crisis. This bill does nothing to ensure that crisis is addressed. I am voting no, and I will keep fighting.
I was scared there. Oh, no. Oh, shut up. This guy. All right. Yeah, look at that. Healthcare. This isn't a healthcare bill. The healthcare debate, even if they decided today, the Republicans and Democrats decided to get together and discuss the healthcare issue. Let's just say that. It would be months, if not a year, before they could hammer something out. And what, the government's supposed to stay closed until the Republicans give in to a Democrat health care proposal and program and expense, instead of signing this bill that just reopens the government and getting together afterwards to now, do your jobs. Oh, I will be voting no. Good. Be that guy. Another one in New York, reelected every time. He's holding the office like a pope. And what do you get from Chuck Schumer, New York? What the hell are you getting? This guy is the slickest lifer politician. It's all about him and his power and money. He's a disgusting individual, Chuck Schumer. Disgusting. Oh, this Chuck Schumer. Oh my God. Here's a little story. We'll get away from politics for a second and go to Hollywood. Oh, where's my sheet? I think I got it. I might have thrown it away with this. It's Kirsten Stewart, who is just annoying. Just an annoying, again, typical Hollywood Yeah, they know everything. And there she is. What has she said? Kristen Stewart slams Hollywood's treatment of. Look, I could sit here and you guys could think of 20 different things because that's celebrities and that's Hollywood. What's the problem? Who's the victim this time? Well, Kristen Stewart slams Hollywood's treatment of women filmmakers. After a brief moment of progress, she's very angry following the Me Too movement. Remember when the Oscars said that they were going to start making sure that minorities and women were involved in the production end of filmmaking, and that actresses were going to be paid the same amount as their male counterparts in motion pictures? The motion picture industry. Now you get the hell out of here. Well, in a post Me Too moment, it seemed possible, this is what she said, the stories made by and for women were finally getting their due, that we might be allowed or even encouraged to express ourselves and our shared experience. All of our experiences without filter. But I can now attest to the bare-knuckle brawling that it takes every step of the way when the content is too dark, too taboo, when the frankness with which it serves up observations about experiences routinely experienced by women frequently provoke disgust and rejection. The backsliding from a brief moment of progress is statistically devastating. It is devastating. Such a pitiful number of films from the past year have been made by women. We obviously need many more women's luncheons in our lives. We need to become ladies who lunch all the effing time. Let me tell you a little something about the movie industry, Kirsten, whatever. It's all about asses in seats. That's it. Money, money, money. Will the film make money? If it doesn't, it's not going to be made. If they read a script, if they look at who's cast in it, if it's a woman's movie, it's not going to be made. The movie industry is in turmoil right now. It is a disaster. People are not going to see a lot of movies. One movie will come out. It'll do well. These superhero movies. I hear Frankenstein's pretty good. That was in the movie for a week. It's on Netflix now. But truth be told, it's all about money. And movies made by, for, starring women do not make the money that men, movies geared toward men can make. Back in a minute.
Whipping out free speech.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and we continue kind of talking about the breaking news of the government shutdown being lifted, being taken care of. The Democrats seem to have folded. They got enough votes now to reopen the government. And let's talk to Steve from Manhattan. Oh, you got to hit that little continue button on the phones. You know, we're thousands and thousands of miles away from home base. So sometimes there is a technical glitch in the matrix. There we go. Thank you, sir. And we'll go to Steve in Manhattan. What's up, Steve? Yo, Steve. You're on the air. No.
It's an honor. It's an honor to be on your show, Anthony.
Oh, thank you, sir. There you are. What's up, Steve?
Well, first, New York City is headed for and will be in a communist winter. People have to realize when you invite millions of third worlders inside this country, and they vote for third worlders, why would anybody be surprised? People wanted people to vote for Cuomo. Cuomo legalized pot in this city. You walk down the streets in New York City and you smell that pot, and I just think of Andrew Cuomo when I smell that pot when I'm walking down
It's terrible. And, like I said before, they're give an inch, take a mile. They legalize pot, and now they all think it's completely legal and legitimate and fine to shoot heroin on every street corner, out in the open, tourist kids walking around. So anytime you give them, like, oh, we're legalizing weed, you could smoke it here. First of all, you're not supposed to smoke it walking down the street. Secondly, they take it and then go, oh, so we could do any drugs we want right out there in public. Don't give them the opportunity to run with something like legalized marijuana.
Right, and this man doofus, right? People have to realize conservatives are leaving New York. That's why the mayor's election wasn't really close, and the governor's race. How are you going to win if everybody's leaving? But the problem is, this is a utopia for there's a lot of communists in this country who will move in to New York City because of man doofus. And these people, a lot of people don't realize it. You don't live around them. I lived around them my whole life. They do not believe in private property rights.
No.
You're going to be, I'm talking about the average one. I'm in the store the other day. The woman had, like you described them, she had the button on. It says bleed Trump on it. I mean, that's the brain mentality of an amoeba brain, right? But the thing is, they vote. There's a lot of them now. They're coming from the third world. They will tell you that there are a million Muslims in New York City. I don't think they're all registered. I think a lot of them also came from around the country to come in and vote for man doofus. They don't bring that up. Now, this is November. November 9th is also the famous 65 blackout. I'm sure I think you're a little older than me. You might have been running around on that blackout. That was the beginning of the era of the looting. There wasn't that much looting. It wasn't until 77 when we had was a doozy back then. And then also November 8th is when Dorothy Kilgallen
I think that was
died.
67. I think, Steve, I think that was 67 blackout, not 65.
No, 67 and 68 are the riots.
Yeah, but I think New York, because I remember it being 1967. I don't know. We could argue till the cows come home.
Yeah, now you got to realize I'm a former historian. And the day before, November 8th, Dorothy Kilgallen, who was on the Kennedy assassination, died, but a lot of people think she was murdered. The 7th would be the last appearance for her on What's My Line, and in October was the signing of the 65 Immigration Act. But that blackout and power outage was the beginning of the looting era in America. And it really hit the crescendo in 77.
Now you don't even need something to happen. You used to at least need a huge power failure, some kind of a civil rights thing, a murder or assassination of somebody. Now it's just loot whenever you want. Walk right in, take what you want, and walk right out. There's looting going on constantly now. It's amazing.
Right.
Thanks, Steve. I gotta take off. I gotta move on, as they say, Steve. But thank you for your call. Another thing going on in New York, and this was Hochul. Hochul did this. The congestion pricing. I like how they call it things like that, congestion pricing. It's a tax. She talks about not wanting to raise taxes for things like free buses because that affects her. Raise taxes, free buses. No, they'd rather just have the money from the buses. Why cut that stream of cash off? So she put this congestion pricing in place. And if you want to drive into Midtown Manhattan, a huge area of central Manhattan, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you, I think it's $9. And if you drive out and then drive in, you're a delivery guy, what have you, you got to pay again. It's not a once a day thing. It's every single time. You could go one block out of the boundary and then drive back in. Boom, another $9. So there's that's been going on now for about a year, I guess. I'm not too good with time. I think it's about a year. And this woman, you're going to hear from her right now. She got a $600 bill for congestion pricing. And you could hear it in her voice and what she's saying, that what they proposed, what they thought this was going to do, isn't what is actually happening. People thought, or these politicians, Hochul, or maybe they didn't. Maybe they knew all along. But saying that most people will start taking public transportation because driving your own car in to the city will become too expensive. You'll want to save a couple of bucks. What, like $600? This woman is frustrated. You can hear it. And if they wanted people to take public transportation, don't you think they'd make it safer? So they're charging people money to drive themselves in the relative safety of your own vehicle, so that they take public transportation, but then putting policies in place that make public transportation the most dangerous thing you could do in New York. And then they tell you you're not allowed to carry anything with you to protect yourself. And then if some guy on the public transportation, the subway, let's say, wants to get involved and stop someone that's causing a problem, they will arrest him and put him on the trial for his life. So it all works out to it's either dangerous or expensive. That's New York. And it's only going to get more expensive and more dangerous. Let's listen to this lovely young lady. $600 for a congestion pricing.
I just got a $600 bill in the mail from the congestion toll pricing from driving in New York. I've been driving in the city for years, at least 5-6 years, and I refuse to take public transportation because I've been assaulted twice on public transportation. The Uber prices are absolutely insane, and there just has to be a solution to this. Like, I can't go on. How? It's not safe. Like, public transportation is not safe. I'm not going on there. Like, no. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like, I've been assaulted twice. Like, why would I go on public transportation again? So now I have to pay the price, $600, just to drive from Midtown to downtown. It's got to end. Needs to end.
Yeah, it won't. I'm sorry, lady. It won't. And if you, I'm feeling a little sympathy for you. I'm conjuring up some sympathy for you, miss. But if you voted for Kathy Hochul and Andrew Cuomo before her, and Adams for mayor, and Mamdani for mayor, then, because a lot of these people that have these gripes, they've voted for the very people that put them in this situation. So, I don't know. She just sounds very frustrated with the whole thing. And she brings up a point, too. She's been assaulted on public transportation in New York. Of course, I think every single woman that's ever been on public transportation in New York, especially of late during the de Blasio, Adams, and soon-to-be Mamdani terms, I think they've all been assaulted. And here's another thing. It's not just about, she was raped or had her head cracked open or some really horrific crime. There are so many of these sexual harassment and assaults that go completely unreported. It's become just part and parcel with taking public transportation in New York City to try to get to work or get home if you don't want to spend $600 to drive your car in. And women just assume, well, I guess I got to put up with this. The grab ass, the, rubbing up against them. All of this stuff happens all the time. Again, ask any woman that has to commute on a regular basis in New York City. She will tell you that she gets that constantly. And they don't want you to protect yourself. They don't want any form of chivalry where a man will step up and deck a guy that's doing this. And they've proven that by arresting people and putting them on trial for doing just that. So now you got guys that might want to step up, but they're not going to risk their livelihood to do that. So, chivalry's dead in New York, and they make it more dangerous and more expensive to try to take your own vehicle and to try to have some self-reliance. Protect yourself, drive yourself in, not have to commingle with mental patients and violent criminals. Can I do that if I live in New York? They've told you, no, you are not allowed. You can't. And don't expect anyone to save you. Here's a bright little note for everybody before break. We'll be right back. Stay around.
This is the Anthony Cumia Show. This is the Anthony Cumia Show.
Yes, it is indeed the Anthony Cumia Show. And big news breaking. Apparently the Senate could vote Sunday tonight on advancing a potential breakthrough deal to end the country's longest ever government shutdown. Fund the government through January 30th, where we got to go through all this again, and fully restore food stamp aid for 42 million people, among other critical programs. Senate GOP leadership is tentatively eyeing a procedural vote on the deal later Sunday, but the situation is very fluid, and there are parliamentary gimmicks progressive Dems could deploy to theatrically, no, it says theoretically, but it seems to be theatrically, keep the government shut down for a few more days, even if the deal advances. Imagine that. You have the Democrats the entire time of this shutdown blaming Trump's shutdown, starving children, and they could possibly keep this from being resolved for a few more days just to not give Trump and the Republicans the so-called win. It's a win for everyone. Open the government. I was saying before, initially, it seems like, the government, do we need it? It's not being funded, but I wake up, I drive my car, I go through and then after a few days and then weeks go by, you start realizing, planes are lined up down the taxiways and runways, and they're not leaving the airports. There are some crucial, critical government agencies that need to be open and funded. And for these vultures, these Democrats, to want to keep that problem going. The deal features two major components: a temporary funding patch to give the government, keep it open through January 30th, and a 3-bill minibus measure to permanently fund government programs related to military, veterans, and Department of Agriculture for the remainder of the fiscal year 2026. A minibus. They should all be in minibuses, those yellow ones with hockey helmets on. There's a load of... Crucially, the minibus provisions on the Department of Agriculture, fully fund the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP. So again, they had to get that in there. SNAP funding ran out November 1st. We all know that. And Trump administration tapped into the contingency fund to partially keep the program afloat for a few more weeks. It looks like it's going to happen. It looks like it's going to happen. A lot of Democrats, we heard from Chuck Schumer, he is livid that the government will be financed and some of his ridiculously liberal money-wasting programs will not be attached to this reopening of the government. But you saw after the January 30th funding, they will continue with some, Democrat proposals and SNAP and all the other things, that health care. How about open the government and now you can sit and talk about all that other garbage? It's a clown show. Boy, I thought like Reagan and Tip O'Neill were at odds all the time, at each other's throats. Reagan and Tip, remember that? They'd get into arguments about policy and politics, and then, they kind of figured it out. They'd figure these things out. There's such disdain for each other now. There isn't this, we go at it, we trade some blows, but it's all for America, and then we come out of it and we pat each other on the back and blah, blah, blah. It's vicious now. Back then, okay, Tip, a few dollars for, one of your programs. And then it was all done. Now just hatred and division and blame. It happens all the time. But it looks like it's going to happen. Looks like the government will be reopened for like a month, 2 months, and then we'll see what happens after that. These two parties are incapable of sitting down and having a civil discourse about what this country needs. It is the worst it's ever been. I've seen Congress and the Senate divided over the course of American history, my own lifetime, and never has it been to this point where they hate each other. They drop F-bombs about each other on national television. It's bad. It is bad. And it's not just Trump. There are two unbelievably different ideologies as to how this country should be run. And there is zero motivation to compromise with each other on a lot of these issues because they're so outrageous. And again, I'm a Republican. I consider myself conservative, although I do have some left-leaning ideas about certain social programs. But we've never been like this before. And it always seems to be, and I think I'm open-minded, believe it or not, that the liberal Democrats come up with these insane ideas, these insane wastes of money and crimes against humanity. They believe that our paychecks should finance the removal of healthy breasts on young women because that week they've decided they're a different gender. That's insanity. I don't want to pay for that. I think a lot of America does not want to pay for that. But they will shove this in your face and try to get bills passed, attach it to things important like government shutdowns, reopening the government, having planes fly on schedule safely, not banging into each other like a pool table. But no, they want these insane things attached to it. And that's why we're so divided, because there are just, you will never change a conservative's mind or a rational American's mind that healthy organs should be removed from young people under the guise of some sexual freedom. It's mental. It's absolutely mental. But that's where we are. I'm glad that they have to sign this bill. Enough Democrats came forward. They were either offered favors or, because it's always the way, they were offered favors or something else. They didn't just all of a sudden decide for the good of the nation. And it might have also been, with Thanksgiving coming up, they're going to pick a side that was to blame. And when America does see that the Republicans just wanted to open the government and the Democrats wanted a bunch of things attached, and that's why I couldn't fly to see Grandma on Thanksgiving, that could make some problems. And I think a few of them saw that and decided to sign the bill. Be back in a moment.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Anthony Cumia Show.
They were doing what they were paid to do. Shot.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and we're looking at the government reopening. We have 8 Democrat senators that decided to vote with the Republicans to open the government. Dick Durbin, Hassan, King, Cortez Masto, Kane, Shaheen, Rosen, and Fetterman. Yes. Isn't it amazing? The guy with some element of brain damage is pretty much the most reasonable Democrat they have, Fetterman. And 52 Republicans in a procedural vote to reopen the government. So we will keep tabs on that and see what happens. Let's talk to Joaquin in PA. Joaquin, what's up?
Hey, good evening, Anthony. I have the perfect plan for President Trump to deal with Mamdani. But first, I want to get on one thing, though. Did you see the video of that young girl in New York City who was sitting there cheering for Mamdani and for Sharia law and for Islam?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You know what? My compassion only goes so far as for what these idiots vote for. And I hope that she marries a good fundamental Muslim man, who that when she acts out, has to beat her. And then she goes trying to, claim domestic violence, and Sharia law officer comes and says, "Oh, you got no case." These people need to get exactly what they ask for.
Yeah. It seems like it. And the worse it gets, the more they complain, and then the more they just vote for the same crap.
And you know something, history is being rewritten because I've been doing some looking into the founding fathers and what they say, because somebody's been saying that, they didn't say anything against Islam. Yes, they did, as a matter of fact. They considered Islam a false religion, and the term Mohammedan that they used actually was a derogatory designation. So they actually, they allowed these people to have, religious freedom in as far as it does not, constitute a danger to the country. So right. it is within their, within their mindset to actually keep these kind of people out of the country if necessary. All right?
Do you think, like the founding fathers, without looking at what was written or the legend of the founding fathers, can you imagine these guys trying their damnedest to build this country, to come up with documents that give people rights and kind of spell out what this country is supposed to be all about, and then going, yeah, let's have savages. Imagine what Islam was like in the 1700s. I know it hasn't changed much, but it had to be even worse before they got oil money or anything else. So could you imagine the founding fathers going, yeah, right in the middle of all of these immigrants and settlers that are coming here working, they know how to run plows and covered wagons, and they're building houses and moving westward. We want these absolute savages intermingled with them. For what? What would be the upside? They definitely did not want that in this country.
General George S. Patton's observation when he was in North Africa. There's a quote from him. I don't have it in front of me.
Yep.
But when he refers to the Arabs, he says, if they had been Christians, imagine where they'd be now, because they're still where they were back in 700. But now, Trump and Mandami, this is what I would do if I was President Trump. I wish I was one of his advisors. You know, I would make Mamdani sit there and keep begging like a dog, you know, to have to see President Trump.
Yeah.
And then I would have one of my underlings finally contact him and arrange an appointment. And in the meantime, I would call Bibi Netanyahu and ask him to come over and sit with me in the Oval Office and have Mamdani sitting out there waiting for a while, and then walk out of the office and look and, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot. I have something more important to do. Hey, Bibi, come on, let's go. We got to get down to Mar-a-Lago and play some golf.
Yeah, that would kind of be a thorn in his side, I believe. Thank you, Joaquin. Yes. Bibi Netanyahu. My God. The theme tonight, if there is a theme, has been women and celebrity. Kind of had a few stories about that this evening, and it doesn't stop because one of my favorites, and I know one of yours, Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda. Here's a woman that has no sense of self-awareness. This woman is despised by half the country. Not just like De Niro. De Niro has alienated his fan base. He's, people don't like him. You'll still watch his movies, and you go, oh, that guy's a jackass, whatever. Jane Fonda is despised, though, hated by half the country. And the further you go back to the veterans of the Vietnam War, you can't find a person that is hated more by those people. Ho Chi Minh is higher on the list than Jane Fonda as far as Vietnam vets go. She's always got to get there and bash Trump and Republicans, MAGA. She don't like MAGA people. And she thinks anyone wants to actually put any credence into what she's saying with her terrible nasally voice. I think Jane Fonda says that Trump voters weren't MAGA. All of them were not MAGA. All Trump voters weren't MAGA. And they will eventually regret their vote. And here's the real kicker. Democrats need to open their arms and take in these poor, misguided Republicans and hug them, invite them aboard to become more like Jane Fonda. Oh, brother. Let's hear Jane, Hanoi Jane, as they called her.
Was I 100% happy with President Biden? Absolutely not. I get so mad
she says that now.
At people who say, I don't like him, so I'm not going to vote. One young person, and I said, if we don't get Biden reelected, or then it was Kamala.
Young person to her is 60.
We're going to have fascism. And she said, this young person said to me, we already have fascism. We don't teach civics anymore, so they don't understand. What's happening now is leading to fascism.
Do you think Democrats need to change their messaging?
Absolutely.
How do you think they should change their messaging?
78 million people voted for Trump. They're not all MAGA. Mm-hmm. A lot of them were people who were just really angry and really hurting because they can't pay for things that they need. Healthcare, groceries, it's getting worse now. And so those people are going to have buyer's remorse. And we cannot judge them. We have to open our arms and welcome them. We need a big tent. Biden and Kamala didn't talk enough about the working class people. What the Democrats have to talk about is income inequality, what the Republicans are doing to our democracy, and to health care, and to food, and everything else. Everything we buy is going to be more expensive because of what Trump is doing.
Oh, what was the excuse under Biden? What was that excuse for high prices? You heard him yelling before that wages were up and inflation was down under Biden. Pure lies. Inflation was unbelievably high under Biden. Wages were down. The only wages that were up were government jobs that his administration was handing out to minorities at record levels. So we, taxpayers, were paying for these amazing jobs. These unbelievable job reports would come out every couple of months. And you realize, oh, they're all government jobs, taxpayer jobs, not the private sector. But the prices of everything went up because what? Trump? There were 4 years of Biden in there. As I recall, during Trump, the prices were low during his 2016 presidency. And now, at least the price of energy is down, which drives the price of everything down. Prices are lower now than they were under Biden overall. There are certain items that they're not. But inflation is definitely down under Trump. It was horrific under Biden. But Jane Fonda's not going to tell you that. My favorite part of that clip, though, oh, my God. The people will get buyer's remorse. Why? What is Trump doing that's better than what Biden was doing? To get to the point where you go, oh, I wish Kamala Harris was president. I have buyer's remorse. I should have voted for that dimwit. They live in these Beverly Hills, Hollywood, Bel Air bubbles. Jane Fonda believes this old rag. She believes this. And then the kicker, the hug. You know, we need a big tent. And all these Republicans that weren't MAGA, that have buyer's remorse, they're all going to stream in. And we have to wipe the disgusted look off our liberal faces and touch them and hug them. In what hallucination, in what 60s Barbarella hallucination does something like that actually happen? Where streams of Republicans go up to Democrats and go, hey, please hug me. This is how out of touch these people are. This is absolute insanity. If anything, like I was saying earlier, young liberals, very young liberals, grow up. And they don't have to come into a tent, and they don't need a humiliation ritual of hugging and going, I have buyer's remorse. They just become responsible Americans that go to work, pay their taxes, much to their chagrin. When they learn they have to pay taxes, that's when every liberal turns conservative. When they look at that tax taken out and go, where does this go? And their parents have to tell them all the programs that their money's going to. So that's how it works in that way. But in Jane Fonda's mentally ill mind, she has this image of Republicans, just all of them walking, heads slung low, crying, saying, please, please, Jane Fonda and company, forgive me. I was misled. I see now the error of my ways. Go drop another hit of acid, you commie. God, just can't stand her. Oh, my God. Sitting there on a North Vietnamese anti-aircraft gun. The same gun that absolutely cost the lives of airmen or got them imprisoned in a Vietnamese POW camp, and she's sitting on there, smiling. That image will never go away, you bat. You old bat. Disgusting. And a little more Hollywood. Colbert. Stephen Colbert. He's kind of serving out the end of his tenure as the Late Show host. He was canceled a while back, but I guess they've given him about a year to pack up his crap and get out. Pack up the box with the plant in it and the nameplate for your desk and your blotter and pens and pencils and get out. So Colbert is saying that talk show hosts, like we've seen over the course of the years, and the amazing Johnny Carson, David Letterman, talk show hosts have a purpose other than what we're used to, making us laugh, entertaining us, interviewing some celebrity about their movie, not getting political, not dressing up as syringes and selling a vaccine to the public. Nothing like that. Colbert, he knows what talk show hosts are supposed to do. And he'll tell you right here. Let's listen.
I'm curious what you feel like the great affirmative case is for a show like yours.
Why should shows like mine continue to exist, or like Kimmel or Jimmy or whatever?
And I said everyone plays a great affection, which is why
I said why? Oh, we're like your friend who at the end of the day paid attention to the news more than you did. And you're aware of it. You just didn't do the detail work that we did. And then we curate that back to you at the end of the day. But it's really more about how we feel about it. Or I, as the person who is the vehicle for that, how we felt about today. All those things that might have made you confused or angry or anxious or happy or surprised or something like that. I feel that way at the camera, or to the audience, really. I'm really performing for the audience, and the camera captures it.
The pomposity of this tool. Are you kidding me? You, the people, the viewers of the Stephen Colbert Show, maybe he does have this right. The viewers are so either lazy or stupid. You cannot possibly disseminate the news. You can't possibly see what's going on. Read social media. See various outlets telling you the news. And put that all together by yourself. Do you have the ability to rationally reason? Of course you don't. You're lazy and stupid. Thank God we have Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel to take the news that we are much too idiotic to figure out and tell us what it all means without attaching an agenda to it whatsoever. I'm sure they're just taking the news and giving it to you without any bias whatsoever. To you lazy morons that just sit there drooling in front of the television watching their shows because you don't understand the news. You just don't get it. That's what talk show hosts are for? Did Johnny Carson do that? Arguably the greatest talk show host ever. Did he sit there and explain like you're an idiot the news to you? Or did he joke about the news without any political bias whatsoever? He'd have guests on his show, politicians from both sides of the aisle, and treat them equally and joke about them. If they had any faux pas during their career, that could come up without any indication by him who he supported. And these jackasses are so full of themselves that Stephen Colbert actually said this in public. You need him. You need him to explain the news to you. That makes a talk show. Well, that tells you why Stephen Colbert's ass is thrown out on Broadway from the Ed Sullivan Theater. Goodbye. And don't come back. All right, we'll be back in moments. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Whipping out free speech.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Yes, it is. The Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you so much for tuning in this Sunday evening. And, Nancy Pelosi seems to be retiring. This was shocking. They usually wait till they have to take him out in a body bag, these lifer politicians. But I guess she wants to enjoy a little of that insider trading money that her and her husband have made on the stock market over the course of always, I guess. I don't know. That NVIDIA deal. Oh, my God. You got a politician who is privy to information that directly affects a company's value on the stock market. They make policy. There are issues of conflict of interest that politicians know about. And this information could make you a very, very rich person or very rich couple if you're the Pelosi's. So she's finally retiring. I guess she wants to enjoy some of those hundreds of millions of dollars that her and her husband made. Her poor husband, you know. When someone's hitting you over the head with a ball-peen hammer, you're not really thinking about your next trade, your next big move. What is it, Tesla? Huh? Did you hear that guy got like life in prison? The guy that smashed Mr. Pelosi, Nancy's husband, over the head with a hammer. And there was weird. It was kind of a very dodgy situation. Was he invited? Were they friends? And he hit him over the head with a hammer a couple of times. Life in prison. Must be nice to have pull like Nancy Pelosi does in those situations, because we've seen a lot of really, really bad criminals who have murdered people re-released out onto the street to commit crimes against innocent citizens. I'm not angry that he got life in prison. I'm angry that they don't give everyone that does that and more, like murder or rape, like we saw in this Brooklyn story, give them life. Guy bangs him over the head with a hammer, goes away for life. So she had some words, some choice words for Donald Trump, and it really is amazing because she calls Trump, I think, the worst thing on earth. And then the interviewer kind of reiterates that. He goes, wait, really? Like the worst thing on earth? And she says, yes, the worst thing on earth. So it wasn't just a euphemism or a something she was just like, well, I was just saying, like, he's bad. She says it twice when the interviewer questions her about it. So she really thinks Donald Trump is the worst thing on earth. Worse than cancer. Worse than pedophilia, rape, all that. Donald Trump to Nancy Pelosi, the worst thing on earth. Let's listen to Nan.
It's just a vile creature. The worst thing on the face of the earth. But anyway.
You think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do, yeah. I do.
Why is that?
Because he's the President of the United States and he does not honor the Constitution of the United States. In fact, he's turned the Supreme Court into a rogue court. He's abolished the House of Representatives. He's chilled the press. He's scared people who are in our country legally.
I know you've said the focus is on Prop 50. I know you've said you won't talk about your future until after Prop 50, but there is speculation about what you're going to do next. Can you talk to us just about what the thought process is? How do you weigh the personal and the political?
Well, first of all, when people start, as in the press, speculating, is she going to run? Is she not going to run?
You don't
other
really need the rest of it. Just wanted to hear her talk about Donald Trump being the worst thing on earth. And then what she says, he's taken the Constitution. He's broken the Constitution, done things against the Constitution. If he had, don't you think the Democrats would be all over that? They've accused and prosecuted him for a lot less than that. If it was true, they would be doing something about it. The Supreme Court? Why? Because it's majority conservative? If it was the other way around, would it be a rogue Supreme Court? They just don't like when they don't get their way. And Pelosi's one of the biggest babies tearing up Trump's State of the Union address years back. We remember that one. And he chilled the press. No, the press realized no one believed them anymore. Not one person believed the media anymore. And they knew they had to change something. They were a joke. They still are. Believe me. They haven't done everything they have to do. They haven't even come close. But chilling the media by calling out their bias and lies? Oh, Nancy. Have another Harvey Wallbanger and enjoy your hundreds of millions of dollars on vacation. Take a Carnival cruise. You seem to be hip with the in crowd. Do that. Take your husband. Maybe he'll get more than a ball-peen hammer smacked over his stupid head. Can you believe it? But that's where we are. But she's leaving. That's good. Going to be interesting to see who takes that power vacuum, although she hasn't really been in power for quite some time. All right, people, I do love that you tune in every Sunday to hear me. We'll be back next Sunday. Anthony Cumia on X for my social media, and we'll see you next week.
It's easy to get stuck reaching for the same familiar fruits and vegetables, even when you know a colorful variety is key. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements don't replace fruits and vegetables, but it makes it easy to add more variety to what you already eat. With 31 ingredients that are whole fruits and vegetables, switching it up is easy because we've already taken care of the hard part. Go to balanceofnature.com and get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first set as a new preferred customer by using discount code POD.